The car never even slowed down. One more step, and she'd be gone. But just before her foot hit the street, her dog lunged and saved her life in a way no one could explain. What happened next shocked everyone and uncovered a secret even her parents didn't know. This story is about a moment that should have ended in tragedy, but didn't. It's about a German shepherd named Axel, a 13-year-old girl named Emily, and a mystery that began on an ordinary school day and ended with a secret no one saw coming. You'll want to stay until the end, because what Axel knew that day, he never should have known. Tuesday, 7:38 a.m., Maple and 9th Street, suburbia at its calmest. From the outside, it was just another morning. Sunlight danced across rooftops, lawns glistened with dew, birds hopped along fence rails, chirping their familiar tunes. Sprinklers ticked rhythmically in some yards, spinning lazy arcs across flower beds. The world seemed peaceful, predictable. Inside the Harper house, however, it was anything but peaceful. 13-year-old Emily Harper darted from room to room in a controlled kind of chaos, hair half-brushed, backpack half-zipped, her hoodie caught halfway on. Her bedroom looked like a mini cyclone had swept through it. A crumpled worksheet peeked out from under the edge of her bed. 2 socks, none matching, were on the floor, and yesterday's gym clothes were still in a ball near the door. She was running late again. "Emily, bus in 5. Her mom's voice rang out from the kitchen, tight with urgency, but not surprise. "I know," Emily called back. She always said that, even though she clearly didn't. She grabbed one of the socks, blue with tiny ice cream cones, and yanked it on. The other foot remained bare. She didn't even notice. Downstairs, the smell of toast lingered, uneaten. The table had a banana with a note scribbled on it in Sharpie. "Eat me." She ignored both. Waiting patiently by the door was Axel, a 4-year-old German shepherd with sharp eyes and an even sharper bond with Emily. Axel had been by her side since she was 9, loyal, calm, and startlingly perceptive. He had the kind of presence that made people stop and look. Not because he was aggressive, he wasn't, but because something in his posture, in the way he watched the world, felt deliberate. "Ready, bud," Emily said, out of breath, finally finding her other shoe. Axel gave a low huff and wagged his tail. He didn't need a leash. Not anymore. He just walked where she walked, never more than a few feet away. Her living shadow. Emily burst out the front door, with Axel trotting behind. The morning air hit her cheeks with a gentle chill. A mist still hung in the air, thinning as the sun climbed. The corner of Maple and 9th was only 2 blocks away, a familiar walk through a neighborhood that had never felt anything but safe. She waved at Mr. Lanning, who was pruning his hedges like he did every morning, rain or shine. He waved back. She smiled, and Axel didn't even break stride. They reached the bus stop with 2 minutes to spare. Same corner, same cracks in the sidewalk, same group of kids waiting, and that's when her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend, Jenna. "You do the math, HW?" Emily groaned and typed back quickly with one thumb. "Totally forgot. Gonna copy off you." She smirked, already picturing the eye roll she'd get from Jenna. Classic Emily. At the same moment, the yellow school bus came into view, turning the corner with a mechanical groan. Its tires hissed on the pavement. The engine downshifted with a whine. The bus driver gave a quick honk, cheerful as always. The kids bunched up a little, shifting their backpacks. Emily looked up, stepped forward instinctively, just 1 foot off the curb, and that's when it happened. Before she heard anything, before she saw anything, Axel growled. Not a bark, not a whine, a low, sudden, primal growl that Emily had never heard from him before. It vibrated through his chest, a warning from deep inside. "Axel," she said, confused. Then, in a blur, he lunged. He grabbed the hem of her skirt in his mouth. Not enough to hurt, just enough to yank her backward. She stumbled, thrown off balance, her foot sliding back onto the curb. And in that instant, whoosh, a black car tore through the intersection, flying past them at easily 50 miles per hour. No horn, no screech, just speed, blinding speed. It was a blur of black steel and dark windows, tearing through the stop sign, like it wasn't even there. Emily froze. She hadn't even seen it. There was no time to react. No warning. If she had taken even one more step, she would have been directly in its path. The other kids screamed. A few shouted. Someone dropped a water bottle that rolled into the gutter. Axel stood in front of her now, rigid, ears forward, tail stiff like a board. He didn't bark. He didn't move. He was locked onto where the car had gone, breathing heavily. The bus driver flung open the doors and stepped out wide-eyed. "What the hell was that?" he muttered. Across the street, a woman walking her dog had stopped dead in her tracks, hands over her mouth. Then Emily heard another voice, shaky, panicked. Emily, her mother. She had seen it from the window. She was running now, barefoot down the driveway, her robe flapping, face pale. Emily, she cried again, reaching her daughter and pulling her into a fierce hug. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Emily shook her head, still stunned. No, I'm okay, I think. She looked down at Axel. He had relaxed slightly, but his body was still between her and the street, still alert, still watching. What happened? Her mom asked, kneeling to hold her daughter's face. Emily opened her mouth, then paused. The car, it came out of nowhere. I didn't see it. Her mom turned toward the street. I'm calling the police, she said under her breath. This is insane. Emily looked at Axel again. His eyes met hers, steady, serious. How did you know? She whispered. Because here's the thing. There was no reason for him to act the way he did. There had been no sound, no revving engine, no screech of tires or honking horn. The car didn't slow down. It didn't stop. It wasn't even visible until the moment it passed them. But Axel had known. Not just known. He had reacted before the danger had even appeared. He didn't bark in warning. He didn't leap after the car once it sped by. He focused on her. He stopped her. And that growl, she would never forget that sound. It wasn't just fear. It was command. It was instinct sharpened to a blade. The crowd at the corner murmured in shock. Some of the kids asked if she was okay. One of the older boys kept repeating, that car was flying. I mean, it didn't even try to stop. The bus driver reported the incident over the radio. Emily's mom asked for a license plate, but no one had caught it. The car was gone. No cameras, no clues, just silence and tension, and one life almost cut short. Emily's hands were trembling, not from fear exactly, but from the weight of what hadn't happened. The almost, the could have. She looked down again at Axel. He wasn't looking around. He wasn't panting or licking her or begging for attention. He was just staring into the distance, where the car had vanished. Still as stone. The bus pulled away eventually, taking the other kids with it. Emily didn't get on. Neither did her mom. Not after that. They walked slowly back to the house, Axel leading the way this time. Emily's phone buzzed again. Another message from Jenna. Where are you? Bus left. She didn't answer. She kept thinking about that single second, how small it was. A blink, less than a breath, a moment where her life had nearly been erased, and Axel had saved her. But how? She couldn't stop replaying it. There was no sound, no movement, nothing to suggest a car was even coming. There was no sight line from the corner. It was blocked by a hedge and a parked van. And yet Axel knew, not reacted, not flinched. Knew. It was impossible, wasn't it? Emily sat silently on the living room couch, her legs tucked beneath her. Her mother had made tea, the kind with too much honey, like she always did when nerves got the better of her. The mug sat untouched on the coffee table. Axel was lying at Emily's feet, head resting on his paws. But every so often, he would lift it slightly, ears flicking, eyes scanning, as if he were still on high alert. The clock ticked. 8:24 a.m. Outside, the morning had resumed. Cars passed. Neighbors went back inside. The world had moved on, but Emily hadn't. She kept hearing that growl, feeling that tug, not just on her skirt, but on her entire being, like the world had pulled her back from a line she wasn't supposed to cross. Her mom finally broke the silence. I called the police, she said softly, sitting down beside her. Reported the speeding car, but with no plate number, and no one seeing where it came from. She didn't finish the sentence. Emily nodded slowly. It was like it wasn't even there. Until it was. Her mom wrapped an arm around her shoulder. You're safe. That's all that matters. Emily looked down at Axel. He did something I don't understand. Her mom followed her gaze. He saved you. That's all we need to understand. But Emily wasn't so sure, because the more she thought about it, the more strange it all felt. She pulled her legs closer and whispered again, how did you know? And Axel, as if in response, raised his head and stared straight into her eyes. That afternoon, Emily stayed home. She sat at the window, watching the street. She kept replaying the second that had changed everything. The timing, the movement, the sound, no, the lack of sound. She even tried to recreate the view, stepping out to the curb with Axel beside her, standing in the same place, phone in her hand like before. Still no sign of the car, no tire marks, no skid lines, nothing, just the wind. Maybe I imagined it, she whispered once. But she didn't believe it, because even if her memory was playing tricks, Axel had acted, pulled her back, growled. That wasn't imagination, that was decision, and that's what kept echoing in her mind. What the vet would later say. Whatever he did, he decided to do it. The next day, her mom took Axel to the vet, just to be sure. Not for injury, but for insight. The veterinarian was thorough, checked his reflexes, his vision, his hearing, everything. Perfectly healthy, she said. No signs of trauma. He's not hypersensitive. Ears respond normally. Reaction times average for a German Shepherd his age. Then she paused, frowning slightly. But what he did, it's not really reflex. It's initiative. Emily's mom tilted her head, meaning the vet hesitated. He didn't react to a threat. He acted before the threat appeared. And that's unusual, especially without stimulus. She tapped the clipboard thoughtfully. There's no medical explanation for that. No training explanation either, unless he was taught to recognize silent threats like electric cars or... No, he's just our family pet, Emily's mom said. Sit, stay, fetch. That's about it. The vet looked down at Axel, who was sitting calmly, tail gently thudding on the exam table. Then, whatever he did, he decided to do it. And that word, decided, lodged itself in Emily's mother's mind, because dogs don't decide things. Not like that. Not with that kind of timing. Later that week, while eating dinner, Emily looked up suddenly. There was something else. Her parents both turned. What do you mean? She put down her fork. Just before Axel pulled me back, I felt something. Her mom straightened. Felt. Emily nodded slowly. Not danger. Not like my body felt scared. It was like someone shouted at me. In my head. Her dad raised an eyebrow. You mean like you imagined it? No, she said quickly. It wasn't a voice. Not like words. Just this pressure. Like my brain screamed. Don't move. She paused, trying to find better words. It wasn't outside of me. It was in me. And right after that, Axel grabbed me. Her parents exchanged a look. Concern, confusion, a little fear. Her dad leaned in gently. You think you heard something? Like a hallucination? Emily frowned. I don't think I imagined it. Could have been adrenaline, her mom offered. You were about to get hit. Your brain might have been screaming, but the car wasn't there yet. Emily interrupted. I didn't even see it. How could my brain be scared of something I didn't know was coming? Silence. Even Axel looked up from his spot on the rug, ears twitching, and then Emily said something that made her mom's heart squeeze. He looked scared too. Who did? Axel. Right before it happened. Like he saw something I didn't. 3 days later, Emily's mom was digging through storage bins in the garage, looking for a box of old-school projects. Spring cleaning had taken over the weekend. Dust, cardboard, forgotten memories. She opened one photo album from over a decade ago. Birthdays, vacations, baby Emily in a pumpkin costume. Then she turned a page and stopped. There was a picture of her husband, long before Emily was born, kneeling next to a dog, a German Shepherd. Same brown and black pattern, same posture, same white marking under the chin. Her heart skipped. The name scrawled underneath in blue ink. Shadow, her husband's first dog. Shadow had died years before Axel was even born. But as she stared at the photo, one cold thought pressed itself into her mind. He looks exactly like Axel. And what's stranger, Emily had never seen that picture. Neither had she ever heard the name Shadow before. They never talked about him. Shadow was part of a past that predated Emily. A beloved pet, yes, but not one they brought up. That night, when she showed the photo to Emily, she didn't explain anything, just handed it to her. Emily stared at it for several seconds, then whispered, "That's Axel, right?" Her mom didn't answer. Couldn't, because it wasn't just the resemblance. It was the expression, the eyes, that same deep, knowing look that didn't belong to any ordinary dog. That photo raised a question neither of them wanted to say out loud. What if Axel wasn't just Axel? 2 weeks after that strange morning on Maple and 9th, Emily woke up feeling restless. The memory of Axel's sudden lunge haunted her still, though she tried not to think about it. But something deep inside her was stirring, something beyond words. The sun was just starting to peek through the curtains. The birds outside were chirping, but Axel wasn't his usual calm self. He sat by her bed, eyes fixed on the door, tail flicking nervously. Emily sat up and rubbed her eyes. "What is it, boy?" Axel didn't move. His whole body was tense. Emily slipped on her slippers and headed to the kitchen for breakfast, Axel following close behind. Later that afternoon, Emily and Axel went to the neighborhood park, a familiar place where they often played and relaxed. The sun was warm, the grass freshly cut, and kids were running around laughing. A little boy came rushing toward the slide, his mother chatting with another parent nearby. Suddenly, Axel's body stiffened. A low, guttural growl rumbled from his throat, a sound Emily had never heard before. She froze. The boy kept running, oblivious. Axel sprang in front of the boy, blocking his path with an intensity that startled everyone nearby. "Axel, no!" Emily called out, stepping toward him. The boy's mother rushed over, annoyance written across her face. "What's wrong with your dog?" Before Emily could respond, a loud cracking noise shattered the afternoon calm. The metal frame of the slide snapped. The structure buckled, collapsing just inches away from where the boy would have landed. Gasps filled the air. The mother grabbed her son, pulling him back just in time. Everyone stared at Axel. The boy's mother's face shifted from irritation to awe. "He saved my son," she whispered. Emily's heart pounded. Axel's eyes met hers, almost like he was trying to say something. That moment was no accident. Later that evening, Emily sat with her parents in the living room. Axel lay at her feet, his expression unusually serious. Emily's mom took a deep breath. "We need to talk about what's happening." Emily nodded slowly. "I think Axel is trying to protect me, and maybe others too." Her dad frowned. "But how? How can a dog know things we don't? See danger before it happens?" Emily looked down, fiddling with her bracelet. "I don't know, but it feels like he's connected to something bigger." Her mom leaned in. "Like what?" Emily hesitated. Like he's not just Axel." Her parents exchanged glances. Her mom finally said, "You mean Shadow?" Emily nodded. Her dad sighed heavily. "There's something we haven't told you," he admitted. Emily's eyes widened. Her mom took over. "Shadow wasn't just any dog. He was special." Her dad added, "He had a bond with his family that went beyond ordinary. When he died, it was like a part of us was missing." Emily's mom looked at her husband, then back to Emily. "And when Axel came into our lives, we thought it was just coincidence. But now maybe it's more." Emily's breath caught. "Do you think Shadow came back?" Her dad nodded slowly. "Some people believe souls don't rest. That love keeps them close." That night, Emily woke up suddenly, drenched in sweat. A nightmare had shaken her awake. She heard a soft whine. Before she could even sit up, Axel was at her side, his head resting gently on her chest, comforting her. She whispered, "It's okay, Axel. I'm here." Her mom came in, wiping tears from her own eyes. "I think Shadow really did come back," she said quietly. Emily nodded, overwhelmed. Days later, Emily's mom posted the story on a local pet group online. The response was overwhelming. Stories poured in. People shared tales of their pets sensing danger, saving lives in impossible ways. One woman wrote about her dog pulling her son from a fire. Another described a cat waking her just before a gas leak. Emily's mom read each comment carefully. It was clear this was not an isolated incident. Emily realized Axel's actions were part of something greater, a connection between pets and their families, across time and space. It wasn't just training or instinct, it was love, a bond that transcended explanation, and Axel was the living proof. As Emily sat with Axel, she understood one thing clearly. Some stories don't have easy answers. Some miracles come wrapped in fur and paws, and sometimes, the ones we love never truly leave us. The days after the park incident passed in a blur of quiet moments and whispered conversations. Axel seemed calmer now, but the sense of something extraordinary lingered in the air, like an invisible thread connecting Emily, Axel, and the past in ways no one could fully understand. Emily's parents watched their daughter grow more confident, yet thoughtful, as if the world suddenly held more mysteries than before. They realized this wasn't just a story about a dog, it was something deeper, a reminder that life often defies logic and reason, especially in moments of crisis. Axel wasn't just a family dog anymore. He had become a guardian, a protector, and a silent witness to the unexplainable. Emily saw it every day, in the way he watched over her, in the subtle glances he cast toward shadows, as if guarding against unseen threats. And she knew that, somehow, he carried the spirit of Shadow with him. The bond between past and present, life and memory, was alive in Axel's eyes. Scientists might call it instinct. Others might call it coincidence. But those who have lived moments like Emily's know it's something more profound. It's love, the kind that transcends time, the kind that whispers warnings no one else can hear, the kind that keeps us safe, even when danger comes without warning. Emily's mother still visits the online pet group, reading story after story of animals who have acted with uncanny intuition. A dog sensing a house fire before it spreads, a cat waking its owner moments before a deadly gas leak, a horse stopping a child from running into traffic. Each story different, yet all connected by a thread of love and protection. Emily learned to trust Axel's instincts. She no longer questioned his sudden growls or sudden hesitation. She understood that some things couldn't be explained by science alone. Some moments are miracles disguised as simple acts, a lunge, a bark, a pull. That ordinary morning on Maple and Ninth had become an extraordinary moment in their lives. Emily's world had shifted forever. opening her eyes to the unseen forces that move quietly among us. And Axel had become more than a pet. He was a reminder that love never truly leaves us. It stays, it protects, it guides. Not every miracle makes the news. Not every heroic act is recognized. But every once in a while, a story breaks through. A story about a dog who did more than protect. A story about a bond that death could not sever. A story about Axel, who, on an ordinary day, decided to save a life, and in doing so, showed us all that sometimes the most incredible things happen when we least expect them. If you believe in the power of love, instinct, and the impossible, watch the next story. Because sometimes, when a dog lunges, it's more than instinct. It's a miracle.